Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'll be comparing the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge with the Sony Xperia Z5. Both phones are flagship phones from Samsung and Sony respectively. Like always guys, as you know, my comparison videos are quite detailed, so I'll be discussing battery performance, software performance, the hardware inside, the screen quality, speakers and sound quality if I get enough time, and also a call quality on the phones as well, and eventually we will come to a conclusion as to which phone is more suitable for you. Okay, so first of all, let's start things with heat guys, and that's the thing which I'm sure most of you are looking at right now. As we all know, the Sony Xperia Z5 has the Snapdragon 810 along with 3 gigs of RAM, and the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge has the Exynos 7420 with 3 gigs of RAM as well. Now I've been talking to many people over the months, the ones who've owned this phone and the ones who are just there for discussion, and they often complain about heat. Well, I can assure you guys that in both these phones, before we get into any further details, I want to clarify this, that none of these phones heat up as much as you might have heard from various sources. In my own experience, I pushed the Sony Xperia Z to the limit, and I also have pushed the S6 Edge, sorry, the Z5 and the S6 Edge both to the limit in gaming as well. I've used my heating gun, but so far none of them have gone dangerously to the levels where it becomes uncomfortable to hold the phones. So from my side, no heating issues guys. So if you are worried about it, please do not worry about it. From my experience, there are no heating issues on either of these phones. Okay, now when it comes to the overall build quality and in-hand feel guys, the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge, as you know, has a 5.1-inch Quad HD screen, and I find this phone extremely easy to hold in one hand. It has this glass back as well. For the first time, Samsung have upped their quality, as you know, and they got this nice metal frame running across all the way, as well as you can see, and a speaker at the bottom along with the charging port and 3.5mm jack. So as far as the build quality is concerned, Samsung have really done well this time around, very unlike the S5 and the S4 where the phones were primarily made from plastic. But this time around they have done really well, and the phone has got good, nice build quality, world-class build quality, along with this nice metal frame that you can see going all the way across. Because the back is from glass guys, so I would strongly suggest to get a case for this phone as soon as you can, because if this phone obviously falls at the back or at the front, it will crack straight away. So getting a case for the phone is highly recommended. But the funny thing is that I don't feel as if this phone is going to slip out of my hands, which is very nice. And because the phone is not as wide and easily fits in your palm, that's why you never feel as if this phone is going to slip from your hands. Even moving my thumb all the way across to the top guys, never had no issues whatsoever, and pretty straightforward, and a good form factor overall in general. I think a job well done by Samsung. The S5 and the S4 were a bit wider, but this time around the S6 and the S6 Edge are a bit more less wider and also slimmer at the same time, so making the phone quite easy in the hands, so not too bad. So nice build quality, nice in-hand feel, no issues here whatsoever. But a case is obviously recommended to make sure that you do not drop the phone, and if you do, it doesn't break the back. Especially lots of people with older Sony Xperia phones have had this issue on the Z3 and Z3 Plus, and they have cracked back. Well, for that reason, that's why Sony have decided this time around to give their phone a frosted back instead this time around. So this is a frosted back on the Xperia Z5 guys. As you can see, this is not the glass back, so if the phone falls, this might actually crack a little bit, but it won't smash or it won't go all over the place like glass black does. So hopefully you'll be fine. But still, the one thing which I don't like about the Z5 is it's a very slippery phone. I can easily say that this is one of the most slipperiest of phones I've ever owned, of all the phones. I thought the Z3 was slippery, but I think the Z5 is extremely slippery, and that is because of this metal frame running all the way across. It's very slippery. And in the past, when you had the glass back, the sweat in your palm could actually give you a bit of grip with the glass, and the phone would tend to just stick to your palm and hand and it wouldn't slip. But in this case, because it's a frosted back, that's why the phone doesn't give you that kind of grip and it's slipping all the time. So a case is even 3 times more recommended than what I said about the S6 Edge. So guys, please get a case for the Xperia Z5 or you're going to be in trouble. The build quality is quite nice, metal frame all the way across, fingerprint scanner, which is this time around embedded in the power button, a very unique kind of fingerprint scanner, which we will test later in the video. Also, you have this nice camera two-stage button as well, which is again something very different, something which you don't see every day in modern smartphones. Overall, I'm quite happy with it. And like I said, nice build quality and no major issues here, guys. But all in all, I think it's a very slippery phone, and at times when you're holding in your hand, it takes a while to get used to it because the phone is quite wide, a lot wider than the S6 Edge. That's why it can put a bit of pressure on your palm, and sometimes you might actually struggle to push your thumb all the way to the top like that, and it might be a bit of an issue. But for most people who like big phones, I think for you guys it won't be much of a problem anyway. Okay, so let's put this back in, guys, now that you have a fair bit of idea about the build quality. To both of them, glass back, frosted back, metal frame, so top notch, no worries and no problems there whatsoever. Okay, so now let's talk about screen quality, guys. The Sony Xperia Z5 has a full HD 1080p panel, which is of 5.2 inches in size, and it's quite bright, to be honest. In my usage of using the phone, I've had no issues whatsoever. Even keeping the brightness at full, the screen is nice and sharp and very bright, and I actually quite enjoyed it whilst I used the phone. The story is pretty much the same on the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge as well. It has a Quad HD screen, by the way, guys, and the screen is 5.1 inches. It's different from, obviously, in terms of resolution. This is 2560 by 1440. A very nice screen, beautiful screen, pretty much the same as on the Xperia Z5, so not much of an issue here, guys. This is slightly more, I would say, better in terms of contrast and overall clarity when it comes to viewing, looking at the screen, as compared to the Xperia Z5, which also has a full HD 1080p panel, but at times is not as accurate as the Super AMOLED panel on the Galaxy S6 Edges. So I would give a slight edge to the S6 Edge, but all in all, if you're having any of these phones, guys, you will have no problems with either of the screen quality on both the phones. Absolutely nice and a pleasure to own either of these phones as far as the screen quality is concerned. Okay, when it comes to performance, guys, the Sony Xperia Z5 has a Snapdragon 810 along with 3 gigs of RAM, and the S6 Edge has Exynos 7420 along with 3 gigs of RAM as well. Now, day-to-day performance, guys, and none of them had no issues. In fact, the S6 Edge, which I'm sure lots of people are interested in, and I did post a video about the S6 Edge, lag or no lag, a few days ago, and the phone had no issues. But when I got this 6-7 months ago, guys, initially at the start of last year, it had severe lag, it had RAM management issues and stuff. It was stuttering, it was freezing, it had all sorts of issues, and I had to give the phone back. But when I revisited it just about a month ago, I'm happy to report that after the 5.1 Lollipop update, the S6 Edge has got no more issues whatsoever. The performance is pretty nice. I'll quickly show you the way it works. You got to move across the screens and stuff, so no major issues here whatsoever, guys. Going into the menus, I've been playing games on it, I've done all sorts of stuff that I could on it, and I've had no issues with the performance whatsoever. So Samsung have definitely improved after the OTA update, and the experience is much better as compared to what it was about 6 to 7 months ago. And the phone doesn't heat up. That's the best thing about it. It doesn't heat up at all. Now, when it comes to Sony Xperia Z5, guys, this phone has the Snapdragon 810, like I said, which is the version 2.1, which is the newer version as compared to the older version. The newer version is obviously a bit underclocked, and performance-wise, the Xperia Z5 is pretty much the same as we had with the S6 Edge. At times, it's happened that I felt as if the phone was being throttled. The clock speed was probably trying to lower it down, and it did heat up once or twice, but majority of the times it's been fine, and that was only if you really push it to the limit. You might see a bit of throttling going on, but in most scenarios, guys, playing games and stuff, I've had no performance issues with the Xperia Z5, and from my side, performance is pretty much on par with the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge. By the way, both phones are running a 5.1.1 Lollipop. I'll show you on the Z5 first. Let's have a look. Okay, about phone. From here we go on to software information. There we go, guys. As you can see, it's running a 5.1.1, so this is the Lollipop latest version. And also on the S6 Edge, guys, I'll show you there as well. It is also running a 5.1.1 Lollipop. Both phones are due for Marshmallow very soon, guys. from what I'm hearing so far, as you can see guys here, it's also running Android version 5.1.1. so from what I'm hearing guys, both the Z5 and the S6 Edge are due for Marshmallow, and hopefully at the first quarter of this year we will probably see Marshmallow on both these phones. Probably the Samsung S6 Edge might get it slightly before the Z5, but because the Z5 is the flagship phone from Sony, so it won't be long before even the Z5 gets the Marshmallow as well. So hardware and software wise, no problems here guys. Top-notch hardware, top-notch software, the latest possible, and no issues here as far as my experience is concerned. Now when it comes to battery life guys, and the Xperia Z5's battery has been a bit topsy-turvy. It is giving me around 4 to 4.5 hours of screen on time, whereas the S6 Edge is a bit slightly better, despite having only a 2600 mAh battery on the on the S6 Edge, sorry, and a 2900 mAh battery on the Xperia Z5, and still the Samsung S6 Galaxy S6 Edge is slightly a better performer when it comes to battery life. On the Z5, some days I was getting 4.5. Sometime close to 5 hours, but mostly I was getting around 3.5 to 4 hours of screen on time. So probably the Snapdragon 810, which is not giving it a good battery life, because if I remember correctly from the Xperia Z3, the battery was legendary, and it was Sony's main marketing tool to compete with the flagship phones from last year. But I think this time around it's been slightly affected. Don't get me wrong, you can still get through a day guys, it's not a problem as far as I can see, but in day-to-day use I think the S6 Edge has a slightly better battery life as compared to the Xperia Z5. What I'll do is guys, I'll leave links down below under description, so you can have a look at the dedicated battery video that I've done on both the phones, and I'll also leave gaming links underneath, in which I have also pushed both the phones to the limit and also checked their temperature to make sure they were not heating up. Okay, now when it comes to camera guys, now this is where the competition is really tough. The Xperia series has never been top notch when it comes to cameras guys, but I think this time around they have done well. They've got the new Sony sensor. By the way, the Xperia Z5 has a 23 megapixel sensor, and this is the new Sony sensor guys that they have included it in their phone, and this is supposed to be giving very good photos and videos. Like I said guys, I will leave the link down below also for video as well, like from before advert, so you can have a look and see if you like the video quality on the Xperia Z5. I'm very impressed both with the 4K and with the full HD, and for the first time in a Sony phone I've seen video quality really top notch. I will leave the links down below, you can have a look and see and ask me any questions should you wish. Camera wise is also very nice, and Sony have done good when it comes to post-processing algorithms. So like always guys, as you know in my videos I always take a live photo and show you guys what the camera is like. So let's put the S6 Edge away a bit for a second so that we can take a photo of this cup, the Clove cup. Okay, so Sony Xperia Z5 is also right now on 16 megapixel, so without tapping on the screen I'm going to just take a photo straight away. There we go, and I'm going to leave the phone here with the picture up. Okay, and now let's take the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge and take the same photo at 16 megapixel. By the way, the Xperia Z5 was also on 16 megapixels, so I wanted to have a fair test. There was no need of having the Z5 on 20 megapixels. Okay, now let's put both the phones together and let's have a look and see how the quality is like. Let me zoom this in and let's have a look at the Clove cup. There we go guys, and also let's have a look at the Clove cup on the Xperia Z5 as well. Okay, as you can see guys, both are giving very good quality, and from what I can see it's slightly better on the S6 Edge. You're able to read Clove and Clove.co.uk, and also a mobile technology specialist since 1982. You can read that a bit more clearly as compared to the Xperia Z5. Clove is a bit more prominent on the Z5 guys, but obviously this is a bit more oversaturated, but still good enough. You can read as well very clearly, so no issues here. But I think the camera on the S6 Edge is slightly better because it's got more natural colors to it. Even if you look at the shine of the cup very carefully just there, and have a look at the shine on there, I think even though the shine looks slightly better to eye on this, but I think it's more natural on the S6 Edge. But from what you can see guys, both cameras are actually doing very well despite me zooming all the way in. They have done pretty well. Let's have a look at Andy the robot, the Android robot guys, and let's have a look and see how both phones have captured this up though. Let me give them equal zoom. There we go. As you can see, both are pretty top notch. On the Z5 is slightly on the darker side, guys, whereas on the S6 Edge is a bit more on the slightly brighter side. Both have given a decent amount of result, so not too bad. But from what I can see, guys, they both have decent cameras. There's a bit of yellow tint on the Xperia Z5, whereas on the S6 Edge it's a bit more close to what my wall color is, as you can see at the back of the camera there. So again, the S6 Edge camera I think is slightly better than the Z5, but overall both cameras are pretty good, decent, and they have done a good job as far as capturing videos or photos are concerned. And you can obviously proudly use both the phones for social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. I'm sure it won't be that much of a problem anyway. Okay, now when it comes to 4K video, guys, this is one thing I wanted to mention, especially on the Z5, where people in the past have had issues with 4K video recording on the Z3 and the Z3 Plus and the Z2 as well. I'm happy to report that when you record 4K video, I did record a video of other day on for 5 minutes. Like I said to you guys earlier, I'll leave a link under the description. You can have a look at that video on 4K. I recorded for quite a few minutes and the message never came up for heating, so that's not an issue anymore on the Xperia smartphones where I used to have in the past. Even if you're recording 4K or 1080p, the camera will not shut down and the heating issue will not, unless you probably record for 10-15 minutes, then it might actually, but I haven't done that longer recording anyway. But for 5-10 minutes, Sony Xperia Z5 would not heat up even if you're recording at 4K, so there'll be no issues. On the S6 Edge, no issues as well. Samsung phones were never known to heat up when recording 4K, so there's no issue on 4K anyway. Okay, now when it comes to sound quality, guys, the S6 Edge has, like I showed you earlier, has a bottom facing speaker which is on there, guys, on the right hand side. Let me just focus on that. There we go. As you can see, it's on the right hand side, the bottom, next to the charging port, so no issues here. This is more or less like the iPhone thing, and a lot of people seem to compare this with the iPhone. Okay, whereas when it comes to the Xperia Z5, guys, it has two front facing stereo speakers, one at the top here. I don't know if you can see that. Let me just zoom this in, because the body is black, so you might not be able to see it, guys, but the speaker is just right there, just a very slim thin speaker. There you go. I think you can see it now. It's on top, and you got a similar speaker here at the bottom as well, so very thin. It's difficult to spot it on. It used to be slightly bigger on the Z2 and the Z3, but on the Z5 they have obviously reduced it to enhance the form factor. So okay, I've downloaded a file, guys, for you guys to have a look at the sound, the same track from both for both the phones. I'm gonna play this on both the phones, and I will let you be the judge, and please let me know in the comment section what do you think of the sound quality on both the phones. I'm going to increase the volume to max, guys, 15 on the S6 Edge and also 15 on the Z5 as well. So now let's put them in straight line so they're facing the mic, and let's first of all play that on the S6 Edge. Okay, let's move the tracks along a bit, if we can maybe get a bit more beat and see how it goes. As you guys can see, despite the S6 Edge having a bottom-facing speaker and the Xperia Z5 having two front-facing stereo speakers, still the S6 Edge, in my opinion, sounds a bit more louder. It might not be as clear as the Z5, but I think the S6 Edge speaker is definitely louder. It's a mono speaker, not stereo speaker, but still it's able to produce some really good sound, which is quite impressive. I was impressed by the speaker anyway when I got the phone for the first time. I think Samsung have done a very good job, and the speaker on the S6 Edge is a really nice, not too bad, despite having a bottom facing and competing it with the Z5 front facing speakers. I tell you what, for some reason I find that the Z5's front facing speakers are not as powerful as we used to have them on the Xperia Z3. Maybe Sony have tweaked it a bit, whatever reason that is, but I still think that the Z5 speaker is not as good as it used to be on the Xperia Z3. So I'm slightly disappointed in that, because I had the Z3, so I have a very fair bit of idea of how the speaker was on the Z3 and how the speaker is on the Xperia Z5. So once again, Samsung, I think, wins this round as well. So now let's talk about the call quality, guys. I've used both the phones with Sims. I've been making quite a few phone calls over the past month, ever since I had the phones, and in my opinion, both have had excellent call quality, no reception issues whatsoever, and I had no network issues as well. In fact, I found this Xperia Z5 to be a bit too loud. If I put it on full, if I was putting on full speaker volume when I was talking to people, I had to reduce the volume a bit because it was too loud and it was hurting my ears. So I would say it could be a good point or a bad point. For those who are hard of hearing, for them it'd be a good thing, and for those whose ears are sensitive, I think they will be putting it down. But as far as the call quality is concerned, speakerphone, and no issues there whatsoever. Okay guys, one thing which I also like on the Z5 and not on the S6 Edge is the SD card. Now the Z5 comes with a micro SD card option, and you can expand it up to, I think, 128 gig, maybe more. Whereas on the S6 Edge, you have built-in 32 gig memory, pretty much the same as Z5, but with no SD card. So if you're looking to put your media, music and films and all that, guys, I think Z5 would be slightly better option, because even if you do go for cloud service, it's still you will not be able to fit all those films, and it takes forever to upload those films. So I think the Z5 has done well, and Sony have kept the SD card, which is good. And I'm hearing rumors on the Galaxy S7 that Samsung, because of so much complaints from customers last year, might actually have the SD card back on the S7. The S7 is coming out in February, so hopefully we will find that out very soon. Also guys, the fingerprint scanners on both the phones are excellent as well. This is the last thing I want to talk to you guys about. They're both very accurate. Samsung have had quite a few OTA updates, and ever since then it's become more and more accurate, and I've had no issues whatsoever. There you go. It takes a second or two and it comes up. Whereas on the Xperia Z5, guys, for the first time, Sony have implemented the fingerprint scanner in the power button, as you can see. So it's very convenient. If you're a right-hand person, you can hold the phone like that in your hand and you press it once, there you go, and it opens up within no time. It's definitely quicker than the S6 Edge. The S6 Edge, as you saw, takes a second or two, but the Z5 opens up straight away without any issues, and very accurate as well. So well done, Sony, for a very convenient fingerprint scanner. For people who are left-handed, it might be a bit of a problem for you, even though I got this index finger on the left-hand side configured, but it takes a while to get used to it. Sometimes it doesn't pick you up, there you go, and then it picks you up. So it might be slightly inconvenient for people who are left-handed users, but for right-hand people, I think the Xperia Z5 has done well, and it's going to be very easy for you guys to open the phone with the fingerprint scanner. Both have, guys, fast charging, by the way. In fact, the Snapdragon 810 also charges very fast, but I think the S6 Edge might be slightly bit more faster because of the adapter that comes in the box, that comes with the Samsung's adaptive charger. Whereas for this, I've been using my Motorola charger. In the box, you only have a 1.5 amp charger for the Z5, and I don't understand till this day why Sony keeps on doing that. And they should be shipping the phone with fast charger, especially considering how high the price of the Z5 is, and still is, by the way. The S6 Edge is now cheaper than the Z5 when it comes to price. So guys, this was a quick comparison between the two phones. From what I can see, the S6 has a bit of an edge, I would say. That's probably the Z5 has got the name as well. But the Z5 is also not a bad phone. It's a very good phone, solid phone. I've been a fan of Sony phones for a while as well. I think it's a solid phone. Battery life needs to improve a bit, I think. And Sony definitely needs to reduce the bezels, as you can see on top and bottom, because there's no point of having so much bezel, because it makes the phone unnecessarily big and uncomfortable to hold in the hand, and it's extremely slippery. And I hope that in the next iteration they can somehow make the phone a bit more grippy and also reduce the bezels at the same time. So guys, this was a quick comparison. If you like my video, please, like always, give it a thumbs up, and any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comment section, and please subscribe to my channel guys, as it helps, and I will see you in the next video.